The whistle cut the dawn air, and within seconds the desert exploded with smoke, shouts, and gunfire that wasn't supposed to sound this real. The sun hadn't cleared the ridgeline yet, but the sky over Fort Arid Range 07B already glowed in gold and dust. Wind rolled low across the scrub, carrying the smell of spent sim rounds and the dry crack of boots pounding over gravel. Lieutenant Aaron Cole, call sign Valkyrie, moved like the desert itself. Quiet, precise, deliberate. Before we honor another forgotten story, subscribe and turn notifications on. These are heartbeats of the brave. Comment your location and veteran story you carry. Her rifle rose and fell with measured rhythm, every burst of motion executed with pilot-trained control. She could almost hear the wind shift before anyone else did. Ahead of her, the mock village shimmered in the heat haze, plywood walls and rusted barrels standing in for a war zone she knew all too well from her flying days. Eagle 1 to Razor, move to Sector 2. The radio barked sharp through static. Copy, Eagle 1, came the reply, low and confident. Eyes on Valkyrie. She's too slow for this run. Sergeant Mason Riker, Razor, always found time for the jab. He led the opposing team, same rank, same training level, but carried himself like he'd already won. His squad moved aggressively, bounding in pairs, their helmets scuffed and painted with unofficial markings. He was all swagger and scars, every step a dare. Cole ignored him. Her HUD flickered as simulated rounds whizzed past her shoulder, tiny blue puffs of powder marking hits in the dirt. She rolled into cover, exhaled once, and raised her sights. Her shots were disciplined, deliberate, center mass, 2 clicks apart. A digital ping signaled a hit on Riker's point man. Good tag, Valkyrie, Ruiz's voice crackled over comms. 1 down, 3 still active north grid. Copy, shift right and box them in. She caught movement, a shadow darting across a sand berm, and pivoted. A flash of silver caught her eye. Riker's visor. He was closer than expected, moving fast, taking the flank she hadn't covered. He wasn't playing by the Sims rules anymore. The wind picked up, 6 knots east. Grit hit her cheek as she ducked behind a barrier. Too soft for war. Riker's voice came from nowhere and everywhere at once. He was in her ear. Precision doesn't win fights. Fire does. Cole tightened her grip on the M4 replica. This is a drill, not a flex, Razor. Then drill faster. The impact came from the side, a tackle that threw her shoulder first into the sand. Her rifle skittered away. Before she could react, Riker's hand shot out, fingers hooking the edge of her unit patch. 1 sharp pull, and the Velcro tore free. The sound was louder than the gunfire around them. He held it up between 2 fingers like a trophy. Let's see who can save you now, Valkyrie. Every muscle in her body went still. For a heartbeat, the entire range felt silent. The humiliation cut deeper than the hit. Around them, trainees hesitated, uncertain whether this was still simulation or something else entirely. Her voice came out low and controlled. Pick it up. That's not yours. Riker grinned under his helmet, tossed the patch onto the sand, and backed away with a mock salute. Earn it back. Then chaos erupted. The drill, already fraying, snapped. Sim rounds cracked from both directions as teammates lost track of the boundaries. Smoke grenades bloomed too early. Radios screamed overlapping orders. Eagle 1, I've lost contact with Ghost Dog. He's off grid. Razor, your flank is hot, too close to red zone. Valkyrie, pull back to cover. Cole's pulse hammered. She darted through a veil of dust, scanning for her dropped rifle. Someone fired too close. She felt the heat against her side where a sim round burst. Her HUD glitched from the interference. She rolled, grabbed the rifle, and spotted the torn patch half buried in the sand. For a moment, she thought of leaving it there. Then she caught a shape on the ridge, tall, motionless, the sun behind him. Commander Nathan Hale, Spectre. He wasn't supposed to be here. Delta Force commanders didn't waste time watching mock drills. But there he stood, hands clasped behind his back, eyes hidden beneath the brim of his cap. No radio, no movement, just watching. Cole froze mid-motion. The others hadn't noticed him yet. "Valkyrie, what's your position?" Ruiz again, panicked now. "Sector 2, she answered, forcing calm. "Regrouping." Riker's team was pressing in from the north. She saw them through the smoke, 3 silhouettes moving in formation, pushing her people toward the boundary zone. The mock exercise had turned into domination, a spectacle of ego. Cole sprinted low across open ground, knees burning, lungs tearing against the heat. She cut behind a derelict Humvee shell, using its shadow to sight Riker's movement. Her scope aligned with his helmet. Center mass, clean tag. She hesitated. Then she shifted aim, tagging the ground inches from his boot. A warning, not revenge. His head snapped toward her. "Cute. You think that means something?" "Means I could have ended it." Riker laughed. "Then do it." Before she could answer, an alarm blared, the system registering unauthorized range overlap, too close to the live perimeter. Instructors began shouting over the ComNet. The line dissolved into static. Cole glanced up the ridge again. Hale was gone. The chaos thickened. Teams intermingled, dust and confusion swallowing the field. Cole found Ruiz crouched behind a barrel, visor cracked. "We're out of sync," he said. "They're pushing hard left. Riker's gone off plan." She looked at the patch in her fist, sand grinding into the threads. He already went off plan. Riker's squad swept the compound, calling mock captures, dragging trainees to the center staging point as if it were a real enemy roundup. The humiliation continued, public and precise. Every drill camera caught it. Cole steadied her breathing. Precision. Control. The pilot in her resurfaced, the one who calculated wind drift, distance, and timing before pulling the trigger. She signaled Ruiz silently. "Flank right. Wait for her mark." "Eagle 1 to all units," someone shouted through the comms. "Stand down. Exercise termination." Riker didn't stop. He swung his rifle toward her again, smirking behind the visor. "Not until she earns it." Cole rose from cover, steps even, eyes unflinching. The world around them blurred into heat and silence. She spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. "Training's over, Sergeant." Riker froze, just long enough for the authority in her voice to register. Then a different voice cut through every channel, deep and absolute. "Spectre, actual. All units, cease fire." Every weapon dropped, every motion stilled, even the wind seemed to pause. Hale stepped out from the shadows near the command tent, the early light catching the silver at his temples. He looked from Riker to Cole, saying nothing. His eyes lingered on the torn patch in her hand, then rose to meet hers. A single nod, barely there. Cole's chest ached with the restraint of everything she didn't say. Around her, the silence held heavier than gunfire. From the far ridge, the sun finally broke, washing the field in gold. The drill was over, but the lesson hadn't even begun. And as Hale turned toward the range tower, his voice came quiet and cold. "Since you want to play real, let's make it real." "Since you want to play real," Hale said, voice low as thunder. "Let's make it real." The air still vibrated from the last mock burst. Smoke drifted in torn ribbons over the desert range, hanging low enough to taste. The trainees stood in 2 uneven lines, gear dusted tan, eyes sharp, chests heaving. The patch that Riker had torn from Cole's shoulder earlier lay half buried in the sand between them, a mute reminder of everything that had already gone wrong. Hale, call sign Spectre, stepped forward from the haze. His boots made no sound on the packed dirt. The sun had barely cleared the horizon, a flat disk of white fire. His tone was calm, measured, but the weight behind it drew every gaze. "New scenario. No reset. You—" He pointed to Riker, then to Cole. "Same side. You want to fight? Then fight together. You have 5 minutes before I release the opposition. Riker's jaw twitched. Cole's expression didn't move. Around them, the wind tugged at straps and antennae. No one dared speak until Hale turned his back and walked toward the comms truck, radio pressed to his shoulder. "Copy that," came a voice over the general net. "Spectre Actual initiating adaptive phase. All units confirm readiness." A hush, then motion. Teams scattering into the broken ridges of Range 07B. The desert stretched wide, 1.5 kilometers of dry gullies and shattered stone. Cole adjusted her vest, the bare patch of Velcro brushing her arm like a wound. Riker fell into step beside her. "Don't think I need your help, Valkyrie." She didn't look at him. "You might, when the real fight starts." He snorted, but his eyes flicked to the horizon where heat shimmered above the dunes. They moved out with their squads, 8 bodies in formation, tracking bearings through HUDs overlaid with coordinates. The signal from Spectre came through again, voice flat and distant. Spectre. Actual, to all units. Check perimeter. Thermal sweep active. The word thermal made Cole pause. Training sensors. But Hale had said adaptive. That meant variables. Unpredictable. Somewhere out there, another team, Delta instructors maybe, was waiting, watching. "Contact north by 15, someone shouted through the net. Cole hit the dirt. Blue-tipped sim rounds hissed over her head. A flash erupted near Riker's flank, a grenade, M84 type, white light swallowing color for half a breath. Sand sprayed her visor. The radio crackled, voices overlapping. "Eagle 1, this is Razor. Enemy in high ground. Copy, Razor. Hold position." IR strobe off. Enemy watching optics. Cole scanned the ridge. Silhouettes moved. Fast, disciplined, not trainees. The shots came too clean, too tight. Delta, she realized. The instructors were hunting them for real. She keyed her mic. "Valkyrie team, pivot southwest. Low ridge, 200 meters. Move quiet." Riker cut in, irritated. "Negative. We hold and suppress." "Hold and you're dead," she snapped. "Move now." For a second, no one moved. Then Ruiz, her spotter, trusted her word and crawled first. The others followed one by one, slipping through smoke and terrain dips. Riker hesitated, then cursed under his breath and signaled his men to follow. They reached the ridge as another flash cracked behind them. The shockwave rolled across the sand. Cole's breath came short through the mask. She peeked over a ledge. No visible contacts, but the telltale shimmer of heat signatures in her visor meant they were surrounded. She whispered, "We're boxed. They've herded us here." Riker's voice came rough. "So, what's your brilliant plan?" Cole studied the terrain. Narrow funnel west, broken slope north. The wind pushed dust across the open space, just enough to blur optics. She pointed. "We move through the smoke. 2 elements. Crossfire illusion. Make them think we're retreating while we flank left." "That's suicide," Riker hissed. "Only if you stand still." Without waiting, she signaled Ruiz. Blue lights blinked. 2 grenades arced into the air, exploding into walls of glare. Cole sprinted first, boots hammering against stone. The air turned to heat and sound. Training fire snapping too close, chips of rock biting her cheek. They slipped through the chaos, angles shifting every step. She could hear the enemy calling over encrypted channels, adjusting position. Too late. Cole's team emerged behind them, weapons raised. Sim rounds found their targets, pops of paint striking armor plates. Delta silhouettes dropped, marking hits. "Target neutralized," Ruiz shouted. Riker's team, still in the open, saw what happened. His disbelief showed in his voice. "How the hell?" "She used the wind," one of his men said quietly. "The dust blinded their thermals." From the ridge above, Hale watched, arms crossed, expression unreadable. The radio broke the silence. "Spectre Actual, confirmed. Adaptive objective neutralized. Proceed to extraction zone." Everyone froze. Extraction? There hadn't been one. Cole frowned. Where? Coordinates incoming, Hale replied. Zulu marker. Cole checked her HUD. The point blinked 200 meters south, inside a narrow canyon. It was too perfect, too easy. Still, protocol demanded movement. They regrouped and advanced, half crawling, half jogging through shifting sand. The wind picked up again, carrying the smell of burned propellant and dust. Then the signal vanished. The map blinked out. Radio's dead, Ruiz muttered. No uplink. Cole tried again. Spectre, this is Valkyrie. Request confirmation of Zulu Point. Nothing. Just static. Trap, she said quietly. Riker stiffened. You're guessing? No, she answered, scanning the ridge walls. They want us inside that canyon. Look at the entry. One way in, no exit. Classic kill box. He hesitated, torn between instinct and pride. Then what? Cole pointed back toward the smoke. We circle north, high ground. If Hale wanted to test command, he's getting it. For the first time, Riker didn't argue. Fine, you lead. They climbed the slope, low and fast, breath ragged. The simulated battlefield sprawled below. Desert, smoke, the faint gleam of weapon muzzles. Every step was measured, every sound magnified. Cole felt the weight of every eye, even the unseen ones. The patch was gone from her arm, but something steadier had taken its place. At the summit, they saw it, the extraction beacon below, flickering between static bursts, too far to reach before the Delta team regrouped. Cole crouched behind a boulder, heart pounding like distant thunder. Riker, she said, you cover south. I'll move with Ruiz, get the beacon. Once it's lit, we move together. He met her gaze, something unspoken passing between them. Respect, maybe, or surrender. Copy that. Cole waited for the next gust of wind, then moved. The sand swallowed her steps. Each breath tasted of grit and adrenaline. The beacon light reflected off her visor like a small, defiant flame. Behind her, Hale's voice came through faintly, almost lost in the static. Adaptation acknowledged. The words hit her like a challenge and a warning. The wind shifted again, colder this time, carrying a smell that didn't belong to simulation. It smelled like real cordite, like danger. And before anyone could speak, the first real explosion tore through the range. The ground shook harder than any simulator should have allowed. Cole felt it before she heard it. The deep, violent pulse that rattled her ribs and kicked up a wave of sand. The shockwave rolled through range U-7B like thunder, swallowing the radio chatter that had filled the air moments earlier. Her visor flickered, the HUD stuttering with static. Somewhere behind her, someone shouted Ruiz's name. Then came the second sound. Not simulated. Not safe. A sharp metallic ring, followed by a low, rolling roar. Real ordnance. She dropped to her knees instinctively, hands pressed into the hot sand, heart pounding. Riker! Sound off! Here. His voice came through faint and broken, barely cutting through static. Cole, something's wrong. That wasn't part of the exercise. No kidding. Smoke was rising from the southern ridge, thick and black. Too dark for training pyrotechnics. The air burned in her throat. Cole toggled her comm. Spectre Actual. This is Valkyrie. Do you read? No answer. Static hissed. Then, Spectre to command. This is not simulation. Repeat, not simulation. Hale's voice was controlled but cold, like steel under pressure. Cole's chest tightened. If Hale sounded like that, things were bad. She turned toward the ridge, scanning the terrain through dust. The range was unrecognizable, smoke curling low, fragments of gear scattered like shrapnel. Half her team was out of sight. "Ruiz!" she shouted. No response. Riker appeared through the haze, weapons slung, his face streaked with dirt. "I can't reach command," he said. "Nets jammed." Spectre's voice cut out. Cole's gaze swept across the dunes. Something flickered near the blast site, a glint of metal, half buried. "We find Ruiz first," she said. "Then regroup with Hale." Riker hesitated. "You're sure he's alive?" "Until I see otherwise." They moved together, staying low, every step uncertain. The ground was littered with bits of equipment, the remains of a sensor array, a half-melted SIM grenade, the warped body of a drone camera. Cole recognized the area, the southern edge of the engagement zone near the old ordnance cache. She felt the truth settle like a weight in her gut. That cache was supposed to be inert. They reached the crater. It was deep and raw, a wound in the desert floor. At the far end, a piece of tactical armor jutted from under a collapsed training barrier. Ruiz. Cole didn't think. She ran. The air shimmered with heat as Cole slid down the crater's edge. Ruiz was pinned beneath a steel beam, helmet cracked, breath faint. "Stay with me," she said, pulling at the debris. It didn't budge. Riker appeared beside her, panting. "We need leverage." "Grab that rebar." Together they jammed it under the beam and pushed. The metal groaned. Hale's voice crackled through the radio. "Valkyrie. Riker. Hold position. Rogue observer unit approaching. Misread you as hostiles." Cole froze. "Those are live rounds." "Affirmative. Extraction in 8 minutes." Then static. "They'll shoot if they see us armed," Riker said. "Then we move fast." Cole wrapped Ruiz's leg with her torn sleeve. "On 3. 1, 2, 3. The beam lifted just enough. They dragged him free, sand collapsing around them. Gunfire erupted. Real. Sharp. "Observer team?" Riker asked. "They've locked onto our thermals," Cole said. "We're tagged as hostiles." She keyed her mic. "Spectre, we're compromised." No answer. Then faintly, "Hold. I'm coming." Through the dust, Hale emerged, calm and deliberate. "Cole, take Ruiz. Riker, cover east. Move now." Riker blinked. "You're using live rounds?" "They're not blanks," Hale said. They carried Ruiz through smoke while Hale returned fire controlled and precise. When they reached the rocks, Cole turned back. He was still standing, rifle smoking, steady as stone. "Zulu Point secure," he said. He pressed her torn patch into her palm. "You earned this in blood and sand." On the horizon, another explosion flared. It wasn't over yet.